to the podcast. I'm Paul.
And I'm Mark.
We're back for another week.
Yes.
And we're at the magical episode number 50.
Number 50, yeah. And this will be the last one in 2024, Paul, I assume.
Unless we do one on Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, well, it doesn't, no.
Which isn't in the plan.
A little too close together there. So.
Yeah. So this one, we're going to talk, I'll just preface what we're going to talk about in this one is harvesting a deer and sometimes the grim reality of it.
Yeah.
We've talked about it before, the hunter's paradox, stuff like that, but we're going to bring it a little bit further in this one. But first, I had to clarify something on last episode. So I misquoted a harvest rate for last year. I had on my paper written down 2022, which was the one that was like 43,000 and some change.
Right.
So it was more than this year.
Right.
And for some reason, I was like, last year's harvest was more than this year. Last year's harvest was actually like upper 30,000s.
Right.
So it was less than this year, but 2 years ago was higher than
a little higher
this year.
Yeah.
And when it came out of my mouth, I knew it was, I was like, I think that's right. And the minute I said it out loud, I'm like, yeah, that didn't sound right.
Yeah.
And as I looked through my notes, I'm like, nope, that was 2022. So,
yeah.
So we're more this year than last year, 2023, but 2022 was
we're less than 2022.
More than this year.
We're still a lot.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it still was a very good year. And since then, I think I told you, Paul, I was reading an article by, and they had mentioned, the department mentioned that zone.
Yeah, what's his name? Justin Bieber?
Bieber, yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what his first name is. Yeah. I don't think it's Justin, but.
No, Nathan, isn't it?
Yeah, you're right. Nathan Bieber.
Yeah. Not Justin Bieber.
He was saying that the deer kill was up in Aroostook County and down east. But then again, we talked about that, Paul, when the number is so low that just a few makes a big increase. Yeah. You know, if you get townships and stuff where there's 0 or 1 or 2 or even 4 or 5 deer shot and that goes up just a few deer. Yeah, that's a big percentage increase. So
it is, and it's funny. It always reminds me of, I had a professor in grad school that would always say, beware of the relatives.
Right.
And what he was referring to was if you look at like comparing statistical measures.
Right.
And if they're a really small sample size, it can look like a huge increase.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
So if you get a township with like 1 or 2 deer harvested, and then this year you shoot 2 or 4,
right,
you've effectively doubled your harvest. Well, in the grand scheme of things, that's really...
Yeah, 100% increase.
Looking at it, and if you look at it from absolute terms, it's not that big of a deal. But there's a lot of zones or a lot of townships, I should say, with 0 or 1 deer shot.
Right.
And if you shoot 2 in that township, you've doubled the... Yeah. So that can be a little misleading, but...
Yeah, so and there again, to put it in perspective, Zone 3 had... And this is this year in our big increase had 303. So, in the grand scheme of things, that's not a lot of deer for a township, for a zone. But
no,
but we had a lot less than that, obviously, in the years past. And so we saw a big increase, which is a good thing. Increases increase.
We're headed in the right direction,
right?
You know.
Yeah.
We always want more.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, sometimes more isn't always better, but you get to a point of.
Yeah,
where it can be bad, but we definitely could use some more deer up here.
Yes, we could.
And this winter, we were just talking about it when we walked up here. It's like 38 degrees out right now.
Yeah, and I guess you're going to get into that. We spent a day in the woods, and there's only 2 or 3 inches of snow.
Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah,
we went and hiked into some places.
Yeah, 2 days ago, Friday.
Was it Friday? Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything blends in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, so 2 days ago, and it was a gorgeous day.
Oh, it was the most beautiful day, Paul. I filled out my journal, and when I always put the weather in my journal when I fill it out, and that's what I put. You know, it was just a perfect day.
You know, we started the day, and we were laughing about this when we were in there, because we started the day and it was -2.
Yeah,
but there was no wind to speak of, and the sun came out.
Yeah, and there was unlimited sunshine. It was just a beautiful blue sky. And
so we're driving it, nice crisp morning, And we were joking because I've had a few people comment on the channel. We'll get talking about the weather like we usually do. And being from a northern climate, we're like, oh, it hasn't been cold, really that cold yet. It's been 10 degrees,
Right.
0. And then you get people from like Alabama where, he's like, it very seldom gets below 20.
Right.
And he's like, man, I get a kick out of you guys that like it's not cold and it's 10 degrees or 0 and it's back to that relativity. It's all relative.
Right.
Right.
We live with winter up here, and it's nothing to see 20 or 30 below. So
minus 40.
And then you add a little wind in that, and that gets really, really cold.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that day we were hiking in. You walk wherever you want. Snow's light and fluffy. There's what, 2 or 3 inches maybe?
Just 2 or 3 inches of snow.
And it got up. I think the high I saw that day was 23 degrees and around
23 or 24, I think.
Mid 20s.
Yeah, mid 20s.
But when we got to this one spot, it was like 16, 17 degrees. But hiking in, no gloves, no hat.
Nope.
And
no, I had to unzip my coat. It got warm hiking and stuff. And it was a beautiful day.
Yep. Saw some cool stuff. Lots of bucks on camera.
Yeah.
Because we haven't checked cams since, like 11, 18 and around there?
Right. Yeah,
And
middle of November.
Yeah, so lots of bucks on camera. Still had bucks with their antlers.
Yeah.
As of December 26th or something like that.
So we had bucks roaming around and not even on migration trails. The 26th of December is late.
That was...
Yeah, so I mean...
Beautiful buck track there.
Yeah.
Going right by the
camera.
camera.
A lot of coyote tracks too, Paul. There were coyote tracks everywhere.
And that's something I think this year, if we can get a little bit of time and the conditions stay the way they are, you can get into some of those areas. Going to do some calling.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
And because it's insane the amount of coyotes that are in around these areas.
Yeah.
And there's some good spots there where you can see a long ways. You can get into position on some knolls, in around some cuts and old roads. And it would be interesting to see if we could call some.
Well, that day we were in there would have been the perfect day to call with no wind and stuff. You could have got into some places where you could be heard from a long way away. So
it's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. You're not without freezing to death, which is always a good thing.
So, you're out in the woods, you always see cool stuff when you're out. And we found an old blind, deer hunting blind.
Yeah, and in a place where we had good deer hunting this year.
Yeah. And
exactly. Somebody else had, and I don't know how many years old. It was a few years old, Paul, because they had, I don't know if you noticed, I went right up to it and they
was wired in there.
And the wire had grown into the tree.
It'd been there for a little while.
The tree had grown and the wire was in the tree. So it had been there a few years. And
and your mind goes, like you were saying, you kind of wonder if they harvested deer from it.
Yeah.
If they saw deer. You were kind of kicking around looking for some casings or something.
Yeah, I did. But I'm sure if they had, they probably picked them up. But I did. I kicked around there and see if they could kick up a casing. And it would not surprise me at all that, they harvested a deer there.
I mean, I saw
more than one,
like $5 in 2 days there.
Right there.
Right handy to it.
Right there.
Most of the deer, I would have been sitting in there blind.
You'd have seen them.
If it was pretty grown in now, but probably back when they were using it, I would have saw most of those deer. So that was pretty cool. And the woods, because we hunt industrial forest, the woods change like crazy.
And they're changing as we
speak.
Place
that we just were in a month ago looks totally foreign.
Yeah.
Completely different.
Yeah.
You're worried one of your cameras may have been
they were cutting, I think, on both sides of it, Paul.
Yeah, of the harvest.
But the block of woods where my camera was still there, but they had cut on both sides of that. So,
Yeah.
I pulled it.
What's that?
I pulled that camera there,
Yeah, and that wasn't... You're having an issue with it freezing up and stuff too, weren't you?
Yeah. For some reason, I don't know if it wasn't taking pictures at night. I don't know. Yeah. I'll have to take a look at it.
And then I've had a fair number of comments. You remember on we did like a gear review video, and you had mentioned like a little bottle of scent back in the day, and you couldn't recall what it was.
It was Dough and Heat.
Who made it? You know,
I don't.
So
but
okay, because I've had one guy had just asked. Let me see, it's Muddle Hunter 0426. He's like, is it Pete Ricard's? I've had a lot, and there's been some other ones. That struck some interest.
I still have the bottle, and it came in a plastic bottle.
Well, bring it in.
I will.
Yeah.
And it may have been Foggy Mountain.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a guide, and he had a different name, and he's passed away now, had a big bushy beard. And it may have been Foggy Mountain Guide Service that had put this out, but I'll have to bring. But it was called Dough and Heat.
Okay.
And a lot of the other guys that I hunted with, they had used one, Paul. You'll probably recognize the name, was Tinks 69.
Yeah, that's
Tinks, but I didn't have the Tinks
that's
bottle.
what I've always.
I had the Dough and Heat.
No, sorry, I had someone send me a message. We'll just jump right to that. The other day on Instagram, and I was trying to get his name because it's kind of an interesting story. We're big on having. I don't mean to change the subject here, but
Yeah.
he just got back to me, and so we're big on like new hunters being
Right,
introduced
encouraging
to the
people
sport.
to pick up the sport. Yeah.
So there's a guy that I reached out from Depot Lake Hunting Club, and it's a hunting club up in Ontario. And he just mentioned, he said he enjoyed the podcast and whatnot, and it really hit home because their camp has seen a lot of turnover the past few years, and you don't want to see these things die out. And he sent me an interesting story the other day. So a longtime friend of his is a brand new hunter, okay, and so new the guy's never even shot a rifle.
Wow.
Until this moose hunt, and so he goes up to moose hunt with them, and they sight in his rifle, first time shooting a rifle, and he harvested a 50+ inch bull.
Yeah, it's a good bull.
The largest bull that's ever been harvested out of this camp.
Wow.
So this guy is brand new. 3 days into the hunt, he harvested a beautiful bull, and that trip was his first time shooting a rifle.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I got to suspect that this individual's hooked, and I wanted to get his name, and he just sent me his name. His name is Aiden Brown, and it was Rob Wiggins that had sent me the story and the information. And his brother also harvested a nice doe as well with a crossbow. Stuck with it. I guess his brother missed a couple beauties early in the season, but didn't get all humdrum about it. Kept with it.
Right.
And got one with his crossbow.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like stories like that, especially old camps. I think, and I'll have to double check, but I kind of looked at the pictures of their camp and stuff, and I think it was established in like 1950-ish.
Yeah.
56, I think is what it said on the camp. Don't quote me on that, but it's been around for a while.
Yeah.
And you hate to see things like that,
right?
Kind of phase out due to lack of interest.
Right. Go by the wayside or whatnot. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So gorgeous bull.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to be hooked.
Yeah.
Now he might do a little more shooting.
Yeah.
Going forward.
Yeah. He'll probably think about that every day, Paul. He'll replay that in his mind. And like you say, that really lights a fire.
It does.
And, but the problem is not everybody, when they go out for the first few times or whatever, are going to have that success or whatever. So
no, there has to
be more than just the harvest.
There's got to be a draw there.
Yeah, there's got to be more than just the harvest that pulls them back.
So that's a good segue into harvesting a deer, the actual act of harvesting a deer,
right?
And how there's more to it than just harvesting a deer.
For sure.
And there's kind of 2 points I want to touch on here. Is one of this is kind of my opinion, because we all have our own why behind
what we do,
why we hunt.
Yeah.
So I can't, tell someone that this is the reason, why they should be
Right.
shooting an animal. That's kind of for them to work out in their own
Right.
accord through their own experiences and stuff like that. And secondly is capturing the harvest on film. So there's two things that we're going to touch on. But we've talked about the hunter's paradox before, which just simply put is basically how can a hunter who claims to love an animal so much want to take that animal
Right.
from existence?
Exactly. Want to kill it.
Yeah. And that's hard to explain to someone. So we've talked about that in the past, but I guess even to bring it further, I like to say it, I'm not judging other deer hunters, but I think you're, in my opinion, you know, I'm a real hunter if like it kills me to harvest an animal. Like I'm disappointed. I'm also happy.
Right.
But it's all over. I love to hunt.
Right.
Like I really like to hunt.
Yeah.
And the minute you pull the trigger and the animal's down, like the hunt's over.
Right.
Like you're done. Some places you can shoot more than one animal, but here you can't.
Right. Not in northern Maine. In southern Maine you can. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
As long as I think only one buck in the state of Maine. So the others would have to be does or whatever in the southern part of the state.
So for a lot of us, our experiences are all different on, you know, a lot of us hunt for tradition reasons.
Yeah.
There's also kind of an innate human desire to get out there and kind of that hunter-gatherer mindset.
Yeah.
A lot of us love deer meat. It's my preferred red meat by far.
Yeah. When I left the house, Narda was cooking moose meat.
Yeah.
She was making a moose stew. So,
it's something I think about on and off, but it recently came to light because you get some people every now and then that they want to see the harvest on film. Right. And so you think about like, yeah, okay. I enjoy, sure. You want to see someone be successful and have it on film. But for me, that's always been not that important. Like it's not, I like everything else that goes into the hunt, kind of the adventure, and then personally things that aren't on film, camp life, preparation, all that stuff. And then just to have someone simplify it or reduce it down to, I just want to see a deer harvested.
Yeah.
It's like, man, I will intentionally leave stuff out of a video because it could bother some people, especially if they've never seen a big game animal harvested. Right. And it's not always pretty. A lot of times there's deer or moose flopping around.
They struggle to give up their life. And like you say, it's not always as quick and easy as you'd like to have it and clean and as you'd like to have it.
Even a perfect shot.
Shot. Right through the boiler room. They can live for
flip and go it. And sometimes it can look a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm always, if I'm recording a hunt and then I go to edit, I'll leave like your moose hunt. There was a lot that I had cut out of it because you don't want someone new. You don't want to give hunting a bad name.
Right.
Seasoned deer hunters aren't going to think twice about it.
Right.
They're going to think, yeah, I mean, that's part of it.
They've seen it many times. And
you get hard to that.
Right.
And I think it's easy for a seasoned deer hunter to forget what it's like for someone who has never seen a big game animal harvested.
Yeah.
It can play on a lot of emotions. And I don't want to turn anyone off.
Right.
So I try to be careful about
what you show.
What I show.
Yeah.
Because like I said, a seasoned deer hunter isn't going to think twice about it.
Right.
But someone new. And it came up when we were down to my sister's place. My brother-in-law has mentioned some interest in hunting. But he was right up front. He's like, I don't know how I would handle like seeing a big game animal. He's like, because I think at his core, he's pretty soft when it comes to animals.
Right.
Like he's got a heart for animals and he didn't grow up doing it.
Right.
And he kind of has that internal conflict.
Yeah.
He's like, I just don't know how I'd handle it. And most people don't until,
that happens.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of a lot of people they cry when they do
Oh,
it. I
yeah.
mean, like you say, they're kind of conflicted. They
Yeah.
love the animal but they love to hunt, and as a hunter,
Yeah.
the harvest is part of it.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it doesn't have to be, but
But it does.
But it does. But
It does.
That's what you go out for.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the end
Yeah.
game that. So
hunters aren't just, and I say real hunters, and I use it loosely. I'm not implying that, if you absolutely dislike harvesting an animal, that you're not a real hunter. But I think someone who really enjoys hunting,
yeah.
they enjoy the process and they enjoy everything that goes into it.
Oh my goodness, yeah, the killing, the pulling the trigger, and I mean that can be reduced right down to a canned hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's not, to me, that's not hunting. I mean, that can be reduced right down to, we're going to put an animal in front of you in a penned-in area, and all you got to do is pull the trigger.
We'll turn the corn feeders on.
I don't think there's many hunters that would really find that enjoyable.
No, and it's funny. I know some hunters from Maine here who went up, who are like serious, hardened deer hunters.
Yeah.
Good deer hunters. And they did a trip to Saskatchewan, not cheap, right?
Yeah.
And they basically were like, I don't want to go back.
Right.
Because they were like, it was kind of like, one put it as, it was like he was playing a video game.
Yeah.
Like it just,
you
go sit in a heated box
over
blind
bait
or whatever. They turn the corn feeder on.
Yeah.
And then you just wait for the one that you want to harvest.
Right.
And coming from Maine and tracking and doing all that, it just wasn't his cup of tea.
Yeah.
Now it's fun. Some people might enjoy that. And even in that, say a stand hunter, so I look at my father-in-law and the guys around here that hunt. They stand hunt, so they're not, actively going out through the woods, but there's a lot of prep all year long that gets them out. Some of them have food plots and whatnot. It gets them engaged. They get excited about working the land, getting trail cams out, seeing what's on there.
Yeah, and they practice their shooting a lot.
They
these
shoot
guys,
a lot.
Which I don't do enough of, even as a tracker still hunter. I don't shoot enough to be a proficient shot. I need to. I should shoot more, but it's
so it's funny you bring that up. I don't mean to digress here for a minute, but I got my eye on a gun I think I'm going to order.
Oh, no kidding.
So I was doing some research the other day I'm like, I want a rifle that's just like my rifle, but in a 22. Like, what can I find? And so Remington had a 5.52 Speedmaster. So I don't know anything about them. Maybe someone on here watching this knows if they're any good or not. It looks exactly like my 7400.
Oh, no kidding.
So the safety's in the same spot. It's got the same structure as a 7400, but it's in a 22 long rifle. And I'm like, that would be a good gun to just shoot for hours with it.
Right. My question is, would you put a scope on it like your...
I would put the exact same scope.
There you go.
I don't know what the scope... like I said, this is just preliminary.
Because you want to try to keep everything as...
It's about the same... It's a hair, little bit lighter. I think they come in about 5.5 pounds, 6 pounds. But you throw a scope on there or whatever, it would probably feel just about the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, the important thing is the safety's in the same spot.
Right.
It looks almost identical. So I'm going to see if I can find one. I don't know how reliable they are, if they're junk.
Right, how well made they are.
Yeah, I got.
So I have an old 22 pump at Remington. I think it's a model 121.
Okay.
Yeah. It had a scope on it originally, but it was so old. The scope.
It was cloudy. I remember.
It was.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a Weaver scope or what make it was. It was straight tube, and so I took the scope off, but I still have. It's a pump 22.
Yeah, that's fun to shoot.
Yeah.
And this 5.52 or 5.52, whatever they call it. I'm not that familiar with them. Has the same tube design that yours does.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just looked like it'd be fun to.
Yeah, you feed it from the top.
Yeah.
You pull the plug out or whatever, and feed it through the top, and it shoots 22 short, long rifle.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So yeah, I'd see if I can find one that's relatively lightly used. And the other thing I'm going to do, since we're on the topic of guns, is I'm going to refinish that 30-06 pump.
There you go. Yeah.
So it had a couple, it's in great shape as far as the bluing and stuff. Hasn't been carried at all. There's no bluing worn off it anywhere. Same thing on the end of the barrel. If you look at the end of the barrel,
right,
there's no bluing worn off anywhere. But it looks like a dog or something has put a pretty big scratch or something in the pistol grip. And so I think I'm gonna take that apart and refinish that.
Yeah.
I was kind of looking at a couple different ways to do it, and might be an easy project.
Yeah. Yeah, good wintertime project that keeps you in the mindset of deer hunting too. So, yeah.
So yeah, I didn't mean to get off track there, but I got kind of excited there the other day when I came across the.
Yeah, I've actually never heard of it, but I
hadn't
there
either.
Again, I don't. I'm not much of a gun person.
I'm not a gun guy.
I don't have any publications that advertise guns or anything like that. So,
and they may not be a good gun. I'm not sure. I got to research it.
Yeah,
but yeah, if anyone knows anything about them,
right? Yeah,
let me know, because, like I said, it looks just like my 7400.
Yeah.
And it'd be good for the kids too
fantastic.
To plink with.
Kids will love shooting that.
Yeah. They've got some 22 Rascals that they shoot, but this would be a little bit heavier, more realistic.
Right.
Than those Rascals. Anyway, back to harvesting deer. So yeah, so if we go to getting the harvest on film, that's not something
no,
I could care. And that, actually, you'll notice this year, I didn't really use that over-the-shoulder mount hardly at all, because I just didn't care that much this year about. I shouldn't say I didn't care, but it wasn't a priority to.
Right.
For one, GoPros, you got to be on top of something to really get a good image of a good video of what's going on. And I just hate having something on my back and shoulder. It catches on the trees and stuff all the time. So I didn't frig with it. I think the opening day, because opening day was kind of whatever. But yeah, it's just not that important. And if it's a shot that serves the video well and adds to the story of the hunt, I'll include it. But if it doesn't in any way, shape, or form, I won't.
Yeah.
I won't at all. Yeah. Anything to add to?
On that note, no, Paul. But, I agree with you that the entire deer hunt is a lot more than just the end, pulling the trigger and stuff. And I watch. I've mentioned this a number of times. I watch a lot of YouTube hunting videos, and if it's got a good story, and with me, I always like Deer Camp. There's a number of channels that put out an annual Deer Camp movie or video, and I always love those. To me, that's a bigger part of it than the end, pulling the trigger and killing an animal. So and the effort that goes into it, the day-to-day effort that goes into it.
Like I was thinking, and of course, when you're presented with this scenario, you never know actually how you're going to react. But the older I get, because I like hunting so much, this year I was like, opening day, if a huge buck steps out in front of me, would I shoot it?
Yeah.
And part of me right now says like, man, I want to hunt.
Right.
Like, I don't want to sit on the sidelines.
You wait all year, and do you really want to hunt 1 hour and then?
Oh, I know.
Be sitting on the sidelines and stuff. So,
and I know some people might struggle with that.
Well, I probably would. I'm probably the type of guy that would
let her fly.
I
think you would. I don't think.
Yeah, I won't tell any stories or anything like that. But basically I probably would, but you never know. You never know.
No.
You know, that's another thing too, and I'm getting to the point, and you hear it mentioned a lot as you get older, and you're more in touch with your own mortality and stuff, and
Yeah, it's harder
you know, the desire to kill something kind of wanes, and I think I'm getting kind of to that point. I haven't got to that point yet, but I can see where, you know, that could be, you know, your thought process.
Yeah.
Do I really want to kill something? You know,
Yeah.
is it that important for me to kill that animal
And
or
boys,
to harvest that animal? And
does it change over time? Because I think back, and I was thinking
Yeah.
about this today, when I was a kid with a BB gun.
yeah.
My God, if
I had
there was a bird or a squirrel anywhere
I had
around,
no reservations of,
Oh, my God.
But yeah, as I get older, I can see myself, you know, less inclined to want to harvest an animal. And
I can remember Mom catching me. I was picking off some birds from a bird feeder
yeah,
when I was little.
yeah,
She was like, she made me feel pretty bad because she created the story that it was a mother bird who was no longer alive and couldn't feed her chicks.
She painted a pretty sad tale there.
Yeah.
yeah.
But as a kid,
yeah,
you're a killer.
yeah.
But it changes.
That's part of the progression of being a hunter too,
Yeah.
Paul. You know, I had a BB gun at a young age, and I look back and they gave me a lot of liberties with it. You know, I had free reign, and that BB gun went everywhere with me.
Yeah.
When we packed on Friday, when we packed the car to go to the camp, the BB gun was, I could forget all my clothes and everything else, but the BB gun for sure was going to be packed, ready to go. I
can't tell the hours I've spent just shooting cans and targets and setting stuff up to see how much can it go through.
Yeah.
What can I, you know,
Yeah.
hours upon hours.
Yeah. So,
and it pays dividends later on in life.
yes, it does.
You put in so
like I
much
say, it's
time
part of the
shooting.
progression. You know, you progress. That's where you start, and you become very familiar with a gun in your hand.
Yeah,
and aiming a gun. So, yeah.
I even carried it, and I remember I'd carry your old one. I think with no BBs in it. We'd go out hunting.
Yeah,
and I would just carry it.
Yeah, so I lived right in town. I walked around the neighborhood with it, and I mean, that would never fly now.
No.
That would never, ever fly.
You used to walk right down the road with a shotgun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No one thought twice about it.
That was,
Yeah.
So.
But, so, yeah, you know, kids are missing out on that nowadays, that exposure to stuff. I try to get my kids out shooting as much as possible. And right now, Bo would shoot anything.
Right.
He doesn't really realize that.
Yeah.
You know, I want to shoot it.
Yeah.
Like, geez, man, you can't even. So we'll get him positioned there, and I'll hold it, and it doesn't faze him a bit.
Yeah.
Shotgun, or I'm taking all the recoil, but you'd think the sound or something would. No. He's good with it. So yeah, that little 22 might be a good. Goodbye.
Yeah, like I say, that's one of my, and it has been for a lot of years, and I've noticed it, Paul, a lot in my shotgun shooting. I still shoot at a lot of birds on the wing, and my success rate has gone way down.
Yeah.
And it's just because I don't shoot enough.
I try to shoot a fair amount every year with my shotgun.
Yeah, that's the.
Lacey
I always
do.
shot birds out of the air, and I didn't take one out of the air this year. And I shot at a lot, and I never hit one. So it's something. It's just not practicing. It's not doing it.
Yeah.
I pick up a shotgun when bird season starts. The last Saturday of September. That's when I pick up my shotgun. Haven't shot it since. The last bird I shot.
Skeet throwers right out back.
I know.
I
know.
I enjoy that so much.
Yeah.
That's so much fun.
Yeah. If I lived in a place where, I live in town again, and so it's an effort to get everything and take it out.
Yeah.
And find some place that you can do
right down
that.
back here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Escape.
Well, maybe I'll do that. this year.
Lacey enjoys it.
Yeah.
And I love it. And that really, like I said, when it comes to the type of deer hunting we do, that is very relatable.
Oh,
that
absolutely.
That snap shooting.
Absolutely.
Where you're not really, it's all just kind
the
of a
feel of the
natural.
gun. And I know they're different guns, and they're built different, and they don't weigh the same, but they're still very similar.
Yeah.
In everything that you do. And so it would help me.
I shot a fair number of birds on the wing this year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I didn't get any. Like
a lot of it has to do with, I've got, 2 kids that are hunting and Lacey.
Those are your chances.
So I'm always, so some days I'm not even touching a gun.
Yeah.
And I think the opening day, I never even touched my shotgun.
Yeah. So you're backing them. You're backing them up. So if they shoot
then
and miss and the bird takes off, then
so
you're in the game.
Like there was one day, there was 2 birds sitting there. And Lacey shot one, the other one took off, and I shot that one out of the air. And then there was a few instances there was a few times like that this year. So Lydia got a little bit turned off at the end of the season, and it was my fault.
Yeah.
She's an animal lover. And sometimes you don't think, again, if you're
she's sensitive.
Well, here's what happened. So if you're a seasoned hunter, you want the animal put out as quick as possible, right?
Right.
So a lot of times if you shoot one on the wing, they're not completely dead I don't want the bird's head was up looking at me. So I was trying to be discreet, and I didn't want to pick it up and just wring its neck or something.
Yeah, that's what we used to do.
Thinking that I don't want to, the kids are around. So I just kind of walked over beside it, just kind of stepped on it. Of course it flapped, and then she watched me do it. And she's like, "Dad, why did you do that?" And I'm like, "Well, Lydia, it was still kind of alive. We don't want it to suffer. We want it to be." She's like, "Well, I wouldn't like it if you stepped on my head." Like, oh my God. Yeah. So I was trying to be discreet about it, but
yeah, sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
That bothered her. She brought it up several times that day.
Yeah.
And that day, she's like, "I don't want to shoot a bird today."
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. You don't have to, but
yeah, she's sensitive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just thinking, man, you just want it expired as quick as possible.
And of course you do. That's what you do. Yeah, like I say, we used to wring the necks. Just pick it up and
so I was trying to be a little discreet going over by it, and flapped.
But she saw it. Yeah. Yeah.
She's like, "Dad, I wouldn't like it if you stepped on my head." Like, well, I guess not.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what's up next?
I'm not sure.
Ice fishing?
Yeah, the ice fishing is coming up.
If we ever get any ice.
Yeah, and maybe, like you say, a little coyote calling. And yeah.
Anything else new in the hunting world that you've...
Well, I did. I think I mentioned to you, Paul, I ran into a gentleman. I think he was 77 years old, born in 1947. And he was originally from New Hampshire, I think. And he started coming up to Maine in 1972, and they group of guys, and they would wall tent and during deer season. So the guy was really interesting. He now lives in Oxbow.
Yeah.
Which is, really, I consider that like right in the heart of deer country there, the deer yard there and stuff, and it's right at the gate.
And back in the day, that was...
Oh yeah, Oxbow was a big spot, because if you wanted to get into the North Maine woods, you went up the rivers, which was the Aroostook River there. You pulled up.
Yeah.
To Millinocket Lake or Munsungan or whatever. So he lives there anyway now, and he still deer hunts, and he was really interesting. So one of the things I had to get his perspective on the changes since 1972, because he'd seen a lot. The roads and the harvesting practices and the decline of the deer since 1972 and stuff. But he was just a real, and I love to talk to these older guys that had been around a long time and know the changes and had seen the way things were, way back.
Well, we should get him on the podcast.
Yeah, he would be a real interesting guy to...
Do you have his contact info?
Pardon me?
Do you have his contact?
I do not. Like I say, his name is
We can figure it out. Small world up here.
kind of irritated his wife and my wife because we could have talked for hours.
Yeah.
We literally could have talked for hours. And like I say, he had the same. He sees the same thing that I've seen. I told him. I said, of course, I was in the '60s and stuff. I started deer hunting, but I was really young.
Yeah.
I was born in '58, but I actually went out in the woods before I was 10 years old with.
Yeah.
But I still remember how things were, and yeah. So, like I say, he kind of more or less echoed what I.
Yeah. We'll see if we can get him on.
Yeah, yeah. He probably would. He still hunts. He said I think he said he's got some heated blinds, and there again, you get into the, you adapt.
Yeah.
He's 77. You adapt.
Most
He
people
can
have
still-
thrown in the towel by then.
He can still participate and enjoy the sport that he loves. He just has to do it in a different form. That's all. So,
Yeah, you do what you got to do
yeah,
to keep at it.
yeah. I love to run into everybody that likes to deer hunt and has a passion for it, but there's something about these older gentlemen that have done it for a lot of years. Like I say, you can picture them coming up, a group of guys from out of state and putting up a wall tent and
That sounds like
probably some pretty remote country back then. The road systems didn't exist back then that do today.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was telling me, I think that, they would see 6 to 7 deer a day back in that day. I don't know if that was the group or per person or whatever.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we're headed in that direction.
Yeah.
The way things are going.
Yeah. And if he had photos or anything if he chronicled his, his hunts, that would be really interesting. If he had, taken photos all through the years and stuff, it would be really, really interesting. He's actually a friend of the game warden, Mark.
Okay.
That you had talked about.
Yeah. So Mark's got a couple guys in mind too that.
Yeah.
It'd be great to get their story.
Yeah.
So
My wife finally
I'll reach out
walked
to him.
off. We had talked
At least he does the same thing.
Yeah. She finally get tired of waiting and she walked off. I had to chase her down.
The minute the deer hunting starts,
Yeah.
the stories and the talking about deer hunting,
Yeah.
it's like she used to get bothered Christmas time because her father likes to hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd have a Christmas party or whatever. She's like, the minute you guys are all together, all it is deer hunting and how everyone's deer season was and all the stories of things that happened.
But you get, there again, we talk about that's all well and good talking about this year, but there's something about going back, 60 years.
Yeah, different.
There's something,
world.
There's
more drama to it. There's more,
there's
more of a mystical
I don't know,
element.
I want to say magical about going back, back in the day.
Mm.
Yeah. I'm more interested in that than I am what happened this past year with all these guys. Yeah. Not that I'm not interested in that, but it's just like I say, there's something about going back in the day.
Yeah, you hear about the stories of the guys that used to work at the logging camps and the cooks and whatnot.
Yeah,
and the animals that they harvested.
Yeah,
in those remote camps, and your mind wanders.
Yeah.
So I think that's long enough for
today,
that's for this episode.
There was there was something else I wanted to say, Paul, and I got off on that story, and now I can't remember what I was going to say. So,
all right, so a little food for thought anyway. Some of the unspoken truths of harvesting a deer. You don't hear. I don't think you hear enough talk about the. Everyone wants to talk about the big buck setter shot, and I think some people get pretty disappointed if they don't harvest a deer. They can beat themselves up. But there's more to it than pulling the trigger, and we've talked about it in the past. A little bit about the hunter's paradox, but and I think we all have our own personal experiences that lead us to be doing one thing or another.
Right.
So we're all kind of different in how we view it, but there's definitely more than just dropping an animal to it. in deer hunting. So, alrighty. All right.
That's
I
good.
guess we'll do it again next week.
Yep.
We're being a little more consistent now.
Yep.
Stay on schedule.
Yeah. Well, you give me the call.
All right.
I'll be here.
Alrighty. Sounds good.
Yeah. Take time out of my busy schedule
Oh, yeah,
here.
yeah. We might have to schedule some time
One of
off.
the things I didn't do the last one, Paul, I wanted to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and
Happy New Year.
and forgot to do
Yeah.
that. So I'll take the time today to wish you a happy New Year.
Shame
and,
on us.
Yeah, a safe and a productive and
Yep.
enjoyable New Year.
So here's to 2025.
Yeah, we're a couple days away.
Yep. Alrighty. I guess until next time, get outside.
It's good for the soul.
See ya.